Salut, bienvenue to cette vidéo, and I'm here again to keep talking about my um day, my life, language learning, those things, with my daily journal with you all. Um, Probably I will publish this video tomorrow because I do not want to publish today because I already have published a video here. That was the first video of the series, my violin studies, and I really want to start that series because I want to practice properly violin with you all, and I think that's a great opportunity to practice my speaking while practice my violin. That both are things that I enjoy. Um, so I want to talk about violin in this video. I just want to quickly tell how my language learning are going. For my English, today I've practiced speaking for all the morning basically. I started to practice with friends of mine, and we're just chatting about some things, mainly about fencing, fencing that with the sword type of thing. Um, and he and I was aiming for a start to practice fencing together. We are two completely beginners. We have no idea how we're doing that because we have no money. We have a very small budget. We have no coach, no place to start whatsoever. So that's a thing that I've been practicing with. Today I didn't read anything in English, but maybe I shall read it. That's not the point now. I practice French also, so it's around 21 days that I've been practicing French. And it's quite cool. I'm using my morning, my within my morning routine to practice French, and it's quite cool indeed. For now, I am aiming for keep learning English and French, and I want to start other language later. I already have said that many times. I get back into the violin. I have started to play it again because you see, some months ago I've started to play the violin because let me try to tell you all the story that I've been passing through with violin. So first, I always find it pretty cool, a cool instrument, but actually I didn't know deeply about it. I just have heard some violin here and there, and I always enjoyed classical music, mainly because I listened to classical music uh, since I was probably even before I was born actually, because my mother always put those music for babies, uh, those classical musics for babies, and I always have listened to this classical music. So I think that one of the reasons that I really enjoy classical music is because I have heard it during all my life, and that's the reason, one of the reasons that make me enjoy classical music. So I always enjoy it, but I never thought in the idea to play an instrument. although I have fancying the idea before, that's those type of thing, those type of thoughts that come and go easily. So I was here, mm, I was like in my other home, and I said to myself, well, why not to start practice the violin? Why not? It's a great instrument, and etc. So I've watched uh, free course on the made by Violino Didático, which is uh, how can I say it? It's like an organization that sells courses and those type of things here in Brazil. They are compounded by some violinists, and I just watched a free course that they have, and I was feeling the aim to buy a violin, and I bought a violin that the one who that the one which you say you've uh, that you saw me playing with, and I always play it. So that's how I've started. I think that it's a great resume, a great summary. I mean, of all things that has led me to buy my violin, and I also have bought uh, all a full life. I cannot say this in English, but it's like curso vitalício, and I bought this one, which is a course that will do dure for all my life, for like, it doesn't matter if 20, 30, 40 years, I will still having the access of this content. That's the idea, at least. So I've bought this and I've started to play it, but for so many reasons, and because I was lazy, because I was not having time, because I was not with an organized routine, I was not playing the violin at all. So I've stopped to play the violin, and I've stopped to practice. So my skill was not very great that time, and that's make probably around a year or so. I've been quite interested into violin, maybe more than a year, because I started to do the free course more than a year ago, and now I've stopped it for like 80, 10, or even more months without playing correctly, just playing one of 5 days at most in a month, which is not practice at all. I was just taking it for some very specific things at my school. That was not practice. But lately, I am with the desire to get back into violin, get back into practice, because you see, I have the instrument here at my home, and I need to use it. I need to give an use to the violin, to the instrument that I have. So I need to get better though. I need to get my skills to a next level. My skills are very limited, but I'm following what my teacher told me. Like my teacher that I mean is there's one who is Jean de Oliveira, who created the violin didático, and also is the owner and teacher of this course that I've bought. So I will take my violin and keep practicing. I was reaching some level of proficiency before, but later, uh, because I stopped it, my level has decreased completely. Now I'm get back into the level that I were. I'm not quite there actually, but I'm getting back into my optimal, my best, uh, um, to the skill that I have before. So I want to get there, get a good grasp of the fundamentals, follow the structure that my teach has presented me, and start to focus on my repertoire and my and the training of the violin itself. When I have the all the strategies, like when I have the skill enough to get into the end of my course, I will get to take online material to keep learning and practice. That's my goal for the violin. I want to become better. That's the truth. I want to be able to play music in such a way that I could enjoy myself when I'm playing and make others enjoy the music. I was lately very obsessed with the Bizet's Carmen fantasy. It's like dun 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 dun. Yeah, that song. Probably you guys heard it, and I was quite obsessed with it because it's a great song. It's amazing. It's amusing. It's great. It's perfect. And I want to play this someday. I want to play so many music someday because I want to be able to. I want to have the knowledge to create music, to express myself through music. And violin also is a way to get my get express myself and get my soul printed in some way, in some degree, in something, I think. So that makes me create something and explore the creativity, the creative side of my own mind. And besides that, I am very focused on the philosophy, mathematics, and those aspects of my life that I'm very focused on, and those intellectual things. I know that violin is still quite intellectual, and it's seen as an intellectual and uh, elitist instrument, but I've chosen because I like it. It's not because I want to sound fancy, to sound posh, or anything like that. I just want to play an instrument that I like. So that's why violin is what I want to do for my music training now. That sounded weird, but anyways, I also enjoy languages. I want to keep learning language, and I want to have some hobbies that help me to grow as a person, to evolve my skills in several different areas of my life, so I could become a better person to myself and to others. Because the reason that we exist in this world it is to be useful for others. If our life is based on our own pleasure only and our own pleasure solely, we shall not be able to really appreciate the meaning of life and appreciate the reason of that make us rather be here. We will just be selfish and will not contemplate the truth actually. But again, I do not want to get deep in philosophical discussions. Other topic that I was interested in and that I was talking English and to practice, and I think that I could talk with you guys, is fencing. I started with my friend to search for fencing content, but you see, the the situation that we are on it's rather a lot. We are in such position that makes um, practice fencing, and fencing as it is quite hard to accomplish and quite hard to follow through. We live in a very small city, not very small, but in a normal city, not the biggest one of our state, not the smallest one, medium city, a relatively big city, although it's far from the capital. Capital? No. It's far. So here we not have fencing club at all. We don't, you know. The fencing club, the nearest fencing club is more than 100 kilometers away from here. It's more than that. I think that's perhaps 150 kilometers from my home, the nearest fencing club. And it's so expensive because it's the only one in our state, so it's quite expensive. Fencing in general, it's quite expensive. We don't have money though. We are just students without money, you know. We are just trying to follow our hobbies without focus on um, details properly, so many details, without paying wide attention to details. We are just trying to cultivate those habits, those hobbies that we like. Um, so we have no money. We need to practice fancy if we will do on a budget. We have no fencing club near. We have no money, and we have no place to practice. Actually, no proper place. I mean, we can practice even in the I don't know, in the street. We could do it, but I'm talking about a proper place. We don't. We don't have it. We don't have it at all. So also we don't have the equipment. We have no money. We have no place. We have no nearest club fencing, and no equipment whatsoever. We have no knowledge. Also, we do know nothing at all. At least myself, I do know nothing. I do know nothing about fencing. You know, we have no knowledge, prior knowledge. So we are aiming to start a fencing club at our school to solve all those problems. About the fencing club, we wanna create it. About no money, we wanna do things on a budget in such a way that we can use um, trash like res- recycled materials to help us to create, or cheap materials to help us to practice. About this, about the knowledge, we want to acquire knowledge prior to YouTube videos and books that we find online. That could be very wrong indeed, but I think that may be an option for us. About the place, we want to do this at at our school. We have no idea if that will be possible because you know there is quite a problem to start a fancy club in the middle of nowhere with no money and no structure at all. And I talk about four things I forgot, but doesn't matter. And that's the point. We have this idea of practice fencing to start to do this sport, and we don't know how we would do actually. So if you have any suggestion, but if by any chance someone is watching this video and has to have and like happens to have some suggestion, you could leave here in the comments. But I think that that's rather difficult for us, and that's a thing. So we want to start it, we don't know how and when and why and nothing actually. We know nothing, and we are aiming for a start. So I will get you guys updated about our journey on the fencing type of thing. But that's it. So that those hobbies are quite interesting because for myself, I like you see I am from a family that's rather unique. Um, my mother is a writer. My father is also a writer, not a full time job, but they have wrote like things in their youth, and sometimes they still writing some things. Uh, and I was born in a place that my family has helped me to to become who I am, obviously, but to develop my intellectual interest and my intellectual skills at all. So, uh, the idea of work and hobby it's quite blended to me now because I basically survive from my hobbies. You see, I have a project of mathematics, I have a project of philosophy, and the mixture of between those two projects is what makes me rather survive because I have I win money, I get money for those projects. It's like it's like a job, a normal job. That's a thing. So we want to use this to actually I want to keep having jobs to become a better person. You know, there is this channel, this YouTube channel that I really enjoy. Probably you guys know. It's called Odysseus. Odysseus. I cannot pronounce it. I don't remember the name precisely, but I think it's a British guy who talks about the ideal of the Renaissance man, and it's quite like that, you know, the classical construction of man and what is to become a man passes through those ideas. I was thinking about the four aspects of human being and like the so I like to there are, actually let me introduce this idea. There are some persons who like some people who like to separate the human life and the things that you must do and that you want to do into categories. First, they put the physical one, the mental one, and the social one. Normally, it's following this structure. I like to put also my metaphysical sense, my metaphysical part. So I think that we should be metaphysical, physical, social, and mental. Those four parts, not necessarily in this order, but those four parts compound for be what a human are. And the idea of the Renaissance man and the classical and medieval idea passes through the most talented man. I really enjoyed this idea, you know. I still not knowing not knowing actually anything about the world. Because you see, there is the human experiences and the human knowledge and the human life itself. It's such an intricate structure of thought. It's such an intricate reality. Each person has their own experience and their own life and their own way of thinking. Each person is in somehow a complete different universe. You know, you, if you were watching this video, is a complete different person than who I am. And this makes the human life rather unique. You know, there is something in the human life that calls out the infinity, calls out something superior. You know, the rationality, the intellectuality, and the intelligence by itself playing bags for something that exists outside mankind and that searches for truth. We are like conditionated to search for truths. Our experiences are based on the search of truth. Even when you are not searching for truth, you are indeed, because if you're not searching for truth, what are you searching for? If it isn't truth, and by truth I mean something related to the to what the things is supposed to be, you are searching for other things. But like, we should first define truth if you are going to dive into a philosophical discussion. And here I am doing again a species of philosophical discussion. But what is truth? It's a great question that follows from the tendency of the man and the mankind to search for the 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 infinite, not the infinite though, search for something that is remarkably untouchable, when immutable. Our life is based on the immutable. There is things that change, but it must be things that doesn't change at all. Because if there isn't, our life it's based on misery, because we need to it needs to be something that doesn't change to the change that other things have to have meaning. Because if all things change in the universe, you could not stay in the same place. You could not build up knowledge. Like, let's take this discussion for example. If I make a cut here, it will be open and it will change. It will pass from this stage that he is not cutted to a stage that he's actually cutted. This change will be meaningless if the cushion itself doesn't stay in some degree what it was before. You see, that's my point. Because if everything changes, nothing stays as it was. Almost in an Heraclito sense of word, everything that changes, and if everything that changes indeed, we are led to outrageous, an outrageous reality that I would not rather to take part in it. We ourselves would not be able to exist because if you would change every moment, we as a human being and as a being itself will not be able to exist because we will just in the most be existing in a very small fraction, an infinite small fraction of time that will lead us to not exist actually. But my point was not to enter into any philosophical reflections or discussions whatsoever. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I always get into those things, and those MDJs has become perhaps more and more random. But I think that I've got that I be able to explain my point and my point of view. See you guys soon. Bye.